The Galactic Union's High Council chamber was silent. Thousands of alien representatives from across the cosmos sat in stunned horror as the final assessment of the newest known world was displayed in glowing red letters on the massive hollow screen. Planetary classification: Deathworld, Tier 3. A murmur spread through the assembly. Tier 3. A designation reserved for planets so hostile, so unforgiving, that only the most genetically resilient species could hope to survive there. Only 2 other planets in the entire recorded history of the galaxy had ever received such a ranking. And now Earth, homeworld of the humans, had been added to the list. Supreme Speaker Zalvat, a towering insectoid being with gleaming obsidian mandibles, let out a clicking sigh. "This is troubling," he said, his voice amplified through the chamber. "The human species has already displayed a reckless disregard for personal preservation. They venture into war zones, expose themselves to deadly pathogens for study, and even willingly dive into the void of space without the natural adaptations that most species require. And now we find that their planet itself is as dangerous as their kind." Another council member, a reptilian Draconair ambassador, let out a hissing growl. "Their environment alone should have ensured their extinction millions of cycles ago. Their air is thick with oxygen, an unstable, highly reactive gas. Their weather patterns include hurricanes that can shatter entire ecosystems, lightning storms that strike with impunity, and temperature swings that should render the planet uninhabitable." An avian delegate from the noble Krelak Empire folded his blue-feathered wings tightly against his body. "And yet they have not only survived, they have thrived." Silence followed. Because that was the part none of them could understand. Humanity should have perished long ago. Their world was a crucible of death, a swirling storm of chaos where apex predators hunted from the land, the sky, and even the very oceans themselves. Venom, claws, crushing jaws, natural disasters. Earth should have been the graveyard of any sentient species. And yet here they were. "Then we must act with caution," Zalvat declared, leaning forward. "We must understand how they conquered such horrors. We must." The doors to the chamber burst open. All eyes turned toward the entrance as the human ambassador, a tall, dark-haired woman named Dr. Evelyn Carter, stepped inside. She was followed by her security detail and something small, something furry. Something that immediately sent an electrical jolt of terror through the gathered representatives. The reptilian ambassador recoiled so violently he nearly fell from his seat. What is that?" Dr. Carter stopped, looking down at the small 4-legged creature at her feet. It yawned. The assembled aliens flinched. "This?" Dr. Carter said, bending down to scoop the creature up in her arms. It let out a soft, rumbling sound, something deep, vibrating, and unnatural. "Oh, this is just Mittens. She's a house cat." Dead silence. Thousands of terrified eyes locked onto the tiny predator curled in the human's arms. Then chaos erupted. Zalvat slammed his mandibles together. "You brought a beast into this chamber?" "It's a domesticated pet," Carter replied, stroking Mittens' fur. "A pet?" screeched the avian Krelak delegate. "That thing has forward-facing eyes. It's a predator." Dr. Carter raised an eyebrow. "And?" The reptilian Draconair delegate pointed a trembling claw. "It purrs?" Carter smiled. "Yeah, that means she's happy." Zalvat chittered in disbelief. "That means it is vibrating its throat to confuse its prey. You carry a silent killer in your arms and act as if it is a lap warmer?" The horror only deepened. Mittens flicked her tail, unimpressed with the panic. The delegates of the Galactic Union had spent their entire lives analyzing predator-prey relationships. To them, anything that purred, anything that could generate a sound specifically designed to disarm and manipulate, was not just a threat. It was an apex terror. A perfect hunter. And the humans kept them inside their homes. "You mean to tell us," the avian delegate whispered, feathers trembling, "that your species has not only survived the horrors of your planet, but you have domesticated them?" Dr. Carter set Mittens down. The cat, oblivious to the fear it inspired, stretched lazily before strolling across the chamber floor. Every step was silent. Every movement fluid. Every twitch of its tail a calculated motion of a killer that knew it had nothing to fear. Zalvat exhaled sharply. "Perhaps we have misjudged humanity." Mitten's tail flicked. No one dared to move. No one dared to blink. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Union feared. And Mittens just sat there, licking her paw. A strange, suffocating tension filled the Galactic Union's High Council chamber. The thousands of assembled delegates had faced warlords, rogue AIs, and interstellar plagues. But never before had they encountered something like this. A seemingly fragile, furry creature that moved with the confidence of a Deathworld apex predator. Mittens sat at the center of it all, lazily licking her paw. No one dared to move. No one dared to breathe. Zalvat, the insectoid supreme speaker, carefully retracted his limbs, his compound eyes locked onto the small predator. You expect us to believe this creature is domesticated? Dr. Evelyn Carter, the human ambassador, stifled a laugh. Completely. She's lived with me for years. We keep millions of them as pets. The reptilian Draconair ambassador recoiled further into his seat. His species had evolved from prey animals, and every fiber of his being was screaming at him to run. You willingly coexist with death incarnate? Dr. Carter chuckled, kneeling beside Mittens. Oh, she's harmless. Mittens' tail flicked. The entire chamber flinched. The avian Krelak delegate let out a sharp squawk. You lie. I see the way it moves. It is a silent hunter. Its pupils dilate, its claws are retractable, and its body is built for ambush tactics. Nothing about that is harmless. Dr. Carter shrugged. She mostly just naps and knocks things off tables. A horrified murmur rippled through the chamber. The concept of a being choosing to topple objects, seemingly for amusement, was an alien one. In most cultures, destruction was an act of survival or warfare. The idea of a creature knocking things over for fun sent a primal chill through the assembled representatives. Mittens, oblivious to the galactic terror she was causing, stretched and trotted toward the Draconair ambassador's seat. The reptilian alien nearly screamed. Get it away from me. Mittens paused, staring up at him with wide, unblinking eyes. The poor Draconair was frozen in place, his frilled crest trembling. Then, with a slow, deliberate motion, Mittens lifted a single paw and gently tapped his tail. The ambassador collapsed. The chamber erupted into chaos. IT touched him. IT marked him for death. IT has decided who dies first. Dr. Carter pinched the bridge of her nose as the room spiraled into absolute panic. You guys are overreacting, she sighed. She just wanted to boop him. Zalvat slammed his mandibles together. Boop? What is a boop? Dr. Carter smirked. A friendly little tap. The delegates exchanged horrified glances. To them, no predator made physical contact with something unless it was measuring its prey, asserting dominance, or preparing to kill. Zalvat pointed a shaking claw. Humans have lived alongside these? For millennia, Dr. Carter confirmed. And they do not attack you? Not unless they're grumpy. A terrified silence. The Krelak delegate's feathers puffed out. What happens when they are grumpy? Dr. Carter hesitated. Well, sometimes they bite. The entire chamber screamed. The Draconair ambassador, still recovering from the boop, looked ready to faint again. You allow this? Dr. Carter shrugged. It's usually just a love bite. Zalvat slammed his gavel. I cannot allow this madness. This creature, this abomination, should not exist. Mittens, seemingly bored with the attention, casually stood, turned around, and presented her rear to the entire Galactic Union. Every single delegate recoiled in shock. What is it doing? Dr. Carter facepalmed. She's just showing you she trusts you. The insectoid supreme speaker nearly fell off his podium. By presenting her weak point? Pretty much. The sheer absurdity of the statement left the entire room speechless. The Krelak delegate, still trembling, finally broke the silence. And you are telling us that humans, a species born on a death world, have chosen to keep these creatures as companions? Dr. Carter grinned. Yep. The reptilian Draconair whispered in horror. Why? Dr. Carter scooped up Mittens, scratching behind her ears. Because they're cute. A deep, soul-shaking purr rumbled through the chamber. The Galactic Union panicked. The purr was the final straw. The deep, resonant vibration that rolled through the chamber sent every non-human into a silent, primal panic. Creatures evolved over millions of years to detect threats could feel the sound reverberating in their bones. It's vibrating. Zalvat shrieked, his mandibles clattering in terror. Why is it vibrating? The Krelak delegate had his head buried under his wings. I cannot. That is a death rattle. It is preparing to consume us. Dr. Carter sighed, scratching behind Mittens' ears as the cat continued to purr. It means she's happy. Content. The chamber did not relax. The Draconair ambassador clutched his chest, trying to steady his breathing. You mean to tell us that a creature, born of a death world, possessing retractable claws, night vision, and a hunter's instincts, Makes that sound when it is pleased? Dr. Carter nodded. Zalvat trembled. And what happens when it is angry? Dr. Carter hesitated. The chamber collectively held its breath. Well, she admitted, sometimes they scream. The silence that followed was deafening. The Draconair ambassador collapsed into his seat, eyes wide. I'm done. I'm truly done. The universe has no meaning anymore. The Krelak delegate shot to his feet. Human, tell us the truth. You are taming apex predators. Dr. Carter gave him a sly smirk. We like to think of it more as a partnership. The Draconair ambassador's tail flicked anxiously. Are there larger ones? Dr. Carter's smirk widened. Oh, you have no idea. Meanwhile on Earth, the Galactic Union had no idea what was coming. While mittens terrified some of the most powerful species in the galaxy, humanity had a whole arsenal of felines waiting to be introduced. Tigers, panthers, lions. The very idea of a house cat was enough to send entire planetary governments into crisis mode. They weren't ready for the big ones. And the humans knew it. Somewhere deep within Earth's archives, a group of scientists and military strategists reviewed the latest footage from the Senate incident. Admiral Jonathan Reeves, leader of the human expansion fleet, leaned back in his chair, stroking his beard. So, they lost their minds over a house cat. Dr. Helen Park, head of the Terran Zoological Institute, nodded. Absolutely. Complete meltdown. They can't fathom the idea that we keep them as pets. The Admiral chuckled. What do you think they'd do if we introduced them to lions? Dr. Park smirked. They'd surrender before the war even started. The room was silent for a moment. Then a younger officer, one of the newer recruits, tentatively raised a hand. Sir, are we actually going to show them big cats? Admiral Reeves leaned forward, clasping his hands together. Not yet. We'll let them stew first. Let their paranoia do most of the work. Let them wonder what else we've been hiding. Dr. Park's grin widened. And when the time is right? Reeves chuckled. Then we introduce them to the real kings of Earth. The room buzzed with anticipation. Some wars were fought with weapons. Others were won with psychological warfare. And in this particular case, humanity had lions, tigers, and jaguars on its side. The Galactic Union was unraveling. It had been 3 standard cycles since humanity's introduction of their so-called house cats, and the panic had not subsided. If anything, it had escalated. Entire species had revised their diplomatic policies regarding humans. Some had even classified Terran homeworlds as no-go zones. There were rumors of planetary defense systems being recalibrated, not for warships but for anything remotely resembling the shape of a feline. And humanity? They had been silent. The humans had let the galaxy stew in paranoia, let the whispers fester into something far more potent than any direct conflict. Fear of the unknown. The Draconair were the first to break. Ambassador Carter, the Draconair delegate pleaded, his scaled hands trembling. Please, please, we need to know. Are there larger ones? Dr. Carter took a sip of her tea. Oh, absolutely. The chamber tensed. How much larger? Dr. Carter leaned forward, eyes twinkling. Well, Mittens here is about 5 kilograms. She scratched the purring cat's chin before continuing. A lion? About 200 kilograms. Silence. The Krelak ambassador swayed on his feet. You mean to tell us, your species coexists with creatures 40 times the size of that thing? Dr. Carter smiled. Not just coexists. We raise them. We even put them on flags sometimes. The room was one heartbeat away from riot. The Draconair ambassador's voice was a whisper. What? Why would you do that? Carter shrugged. Why not? Zalvat, the Krelak diplomat, let out a strangled noise. Madness. Absolute madness. The Galactic Senate was imploding and Earth knew it. Which is why, at the precise moment the fear reached its peak, they escalated. The footage that broke the galaxy. The transmission came unannounced. A simple message broadcasted across every major interstellar frequency. No encryption, no warnings, just a title. Earth's real apex predators. It started slow. A serene shot of the African savanna. Golden light washing over the endless plains. Birds calling in the distance. Peaceful. Then, movement. A dark shadow shifting through the grass. The camera zoomed in. And the roar that followed shook the soul of every creature watching. A lion, massive and golden, stood atop a rock, its mane wild in the wind. Its mouth opened, unleashing a bellow so powerful, so primal, that the very air vibrated with authority. It was not just a sound. It was a declaration. A single truth, undeniable and absolute. This is MY World. The next clip was worse. Tigers, larger than some ships, stalking through the jungles. Silent. Lethal. Perfect killing machines, each step placed with purpose. Then came the jaguars. And the leopards. And the panthers. And finally, the cheetahs. The speed. The raw, unrelenting speed at which one of Earth's finest predators brought down its prey in a blur of muscle and precision. For 3 minutes, the galaxy watched in horror as Earth's true hunters displayed the efficiency of nature's most perfect weapons. And when the video ended, the galaxy screamed. Aftermath, Earth's ultimate weapon. The Krelak delegation resigned. Entire planets went into lockdown. There were immediate sanctions placed on all human expansion efforts, not out of hostility but out of sheer survival instinct. No species wanted to risk anything when it came to the creatures of Earth. But humans? They thrived on the chaos. Dr. Carter leaned back in her chair, reading the newest reports. She couldn't help but grin. Admiral Reeves was chuckling beside her. You think they'll ever recover? Carter smirked. Maybe. But let's give them some time. We don't want to rush their existential crisis. The Admiral nodded. And what about the next step? Carter tapped the screen. Well, I was thinking, maybe next time we introduce them to bears. Reeves burst into laughter. And somewhere across the vast, terrified reaches of space, the Galactic Union collectively whispered one thing. God help us all. Like, subscribe, and comment if you want to see what happens when the galaxy finds out about grizzly bears.